Hello and welcome to our Facebook Live. I'm excited to have a good friend of ours again here with us today, Trent from Teach It Forward. Trent, while everyone's coming online, hello, and how's your week been so far?
Sensational, mate. A great day with your with a great client yesterday, and met with your team this morning. Geez, you've got a good team at TOA.
Yes,
good culture.
We've been working on that one. So for anyone while people are logging on, we're going to be talking about today the difference between masterminds and collaboration circles, and this all leads into the wonderful service that we've launched in partnership with Teach It Forward, the TOA Collaboration Circles. So we're going to be talking a lot more about that today. There's a range of questions, so we're just going to let everyone come online, and then when everyone gets online, we'll start to kick into it and get into it. So Trent, we've obviously been doing these Facebook Lives every week for the last couple of weeks. There's a webinar that we're doing tomorrow with you, which we're excited. We'll talk a little bit more about that at the end. But when we look at the difference between a collaboration circle and a mastermind, what's the difference between these groups? Because a lot of people often get confused and say, oh, I'm getting coached by someone. I'm in a group of people. What's the difference between a mastermind group and a collaboration circle?
Yeah, look, I think a mastermind, I've been part of a couple myself, and a lot of well-respected peers of mine have been in a few over the years, and our experience seems to be quite consistent. And typically, there's a lot of the mastermind is very much where it's a presenter, not a facilitator. They're tending to really guide you through a process or give you modular information. So, like if you're in a mastermind, there's 3 sessions a year. It's pre-planned as to what they're going to be presenting to guide you and lead you in a certain way. And then there's also, it's almost like a boasting's right. I don't know how to say it without swearing or being rude, but it's almost showing who's got the best results and almost being boastful in a mastermind is what I found. And the other difference too in the mastermind is that it can be businesses of any type within any industry, which some relate and some don't. Whereas a collaboration, you don't have a presenter who's presenting a modular. In a collaboration circle, it's the attendees who are creating the content, and the person leading it is a facilitator. So they'll facilitate and add their distinctions and experience as well. And similar to your experience in EO, like I don't share or give guidance to anybody who brings a topic up if I haven't experienced it myself or done that. So the CC is not throwing content at you and getting you to follow a certain path, whereas a mastermind is. In a collaboration circle, it is just for accountants, it's just for TOA clients who are just accountant or just bookkeepers. When I say just, I mean that the group are only bookkeepers or only accountants, whereas you don't have that diversity. So all the topics through the day in a collaboration circle relate 100% to the attendees. There's nothing that doesn't relate, which I think is a great difference. And I think in a mastermind, it's really like showing off and how big are we and look at our great results. In a collaboration circle, it's peer-to-peer accountability. So you make a commitment to the group of actions you'll take, and then we hold you to account and support, and we have a bit of fun with it. And if you don't get it, well, then you pay for the drinks. So, there's a lot more fun, relaxed, industry-specific, serving your exact needs as opposed to a modular, which is typically what you find in the mastermind.
So one of the things that we've identified in the industry is there's some people get coached. So obviously you're a coach, Teach It Forward is a coaching business. There's others that are in there doing that, but there isn't any real groups where peers come together to share and learn ideas. And that was obviously a big driver. You do this within your business for your clients, but a driver for us to partner with you and build out the TOA Global collaboration circles. Why do you think there isn't more peer-to-peer learning? Why do you think that people don't, get together in a structured way and learn from each other? Because as an accountant or as a bookkeeper, we all go through the same challenges. We all have the same problems and we all have the same wins in many cases. But why do we not learn from each other? Why do people not join groups like this? Is there because there just isn't really facilitated structured ones in place?
I think there's a couple of reasons. I mean, there are people like Heather, does a beautiful job in connecting accountants around the world, each day, I think from 4 o'clock, or each week from 4 o'clock. And there's people who are really committed and loving like that, who do that. In terms of groups like this in the accounting or bookkeeping industry, I think one of the reasons is that I think people write off this industry. And I think that they think, they're just numbers people, they don't want to catch up, I think that people are scared of working with accountants, because I think a lot of experience from the coaches is that, accountants, think they know everything, which I've worked with accountants for 12, 13 years, and I found them to be open, wanting to learn, and a great industry. I mean, the fact I've been in it for 13 years is a case of that. So I think that accountants don't join it also because, their business model gets on top of them. And, because they're running, a lot of them are running the old system of a time-based, business model, which I think with the evolution of technology and, I think the X and Y and Z and FKY generations coming through, they're having to really juggle that model, and, they can't see that making the time is going to add value to them. So I think that's what gets in the accountant's way. Which the irony is that when you get them, when they do go to a compulsory PD event, and they experience some peer-to-peer afterwards or in breaks, they absolutely thrive on it. So, I commend your vision on saying, well, hang on, the TOA community are a great bunch of proactive firms and bookkeeping practices. Now, if we could just get them together, then TOA can have, the leading group of accountants in the whole industry. If we can just get them together, if we can help free up their time and help grow their businesses, that's what it's all about. So that's why I think there aren't more of them, because I think people make stereotypes of accountants, and I think accountants can't get past, the time-based thinking.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely that community. When we look at all of our events that we run, the conferences, the road shows around Australia, New Zealand, and even North America, the sessions that are always the most highly rated, and the feedback from all the events is it's either the round table, which is the peer-to-peer learning, or the after hours where they get the most value, because that's when, a few drinks into you start loosening up, and, you start talking in real terms. The facade drops and you start talking in real terms.
Yeah, so, it's like bravado, isn't it?
It is. It's that front, and then, it's then that peer-to-peer learning. So I think that was a big driver, obviously, for us working with you, building out the TOA CC. So for anyone that hasn't seen that is a client of TOA's, just go to toaglobalcc.com and you can learn more about what this program covers off. But Trent, one of the question I did want to ask you was around, obviously, the difference between mastermind and collaboration circles. Who fits each of those? So who would be the best type of person to go into a collaboration circle?
Well, I mean, I've been running them for 8 years now, and I would say that half of them have been there right from the very beginning. I think we've only had about 5 firms drop out, where they've come in and only lasted a year or two. So I'm really sort of speaking about those half a dozen firms who've come in and after about a year or two have come out. The pattern I've seen of the people that are attracted is that they have an abundant mentality, like in the sense that they understand that there's plenty of work for everybody. They understand that they're not the best at everything. They understand that if they want to get where they want to get to faster, that they need to save time and money in making mistakes. And the quickest way of doing that is, obviously, you can read a book, you can read Audible, but when you actually listen to real practitioners and they can give you the practical steps, these are the people that seem to thrive, because they come in with an open heart. Everyone comes in a little bit weary because they don't know the other firms, but we've always had a policy, Nick, that if a firm comes in from a regional town, we won't accept another firm from that same regional town, because we have had the feedback that they wouldn't be as open. And openness is the key for these to be great. And we just have a way of being able to do that. So, once they feel safe, once they go, well, these people, there's no ego in it. So people who don't like it are the ones who've got ego, and the ones who are non-egotistical. They genuinely care about their clients. They generally want to improve themselves. They're people like you and I, Nick, when you were looking for your EO, you go, oh, how do I learn? Like you and I both read books still. We listen to podcasts. We're on Audible listening to things all the time. People like that are going to thrive in a collaboration circle. And it's really interesting how even if you don't do it as much, the people who come into the collaboration circle all of a sudden start, learning more because, oh, shit, that's what these other peers are, and these guys are doing well in their firm. Oh, maybe I should do that. And open-minded, abundant, want to really learn and grow, not really wanting to waste another 5 years with, single-figure growth, and realise the value of, listening to people who've done it before. Getting a model really serves them. That's the models I've seen that works.
100%. I think people that understand that they don't know everything, people that understand that they want to grow and learn from others. And that's one thing that always surprised me. And it's something that, probably because I've always done it, if I have a problem, I'll ring someone that I know, like one of my buddies that I know has already gone through that problem. And I'll say, look, how have you dealt with this in the past? Yeah. And other than just, trying to keep out there and doing it, I think, to be honest, we've seen that a lot in the accounting space during COVID, the amount of activity in Facebook groups now compared to in the past, just asking simple questions, and the community's been there to support them. And I think that's the big one with the collaboration circles, is that's the whole point, is you've got this group that you'll build trust, relationships, and then you will start to meet with them every month, and then full days every quarter. You'll be able to ask them anything and everything. And it's not just, one of the things that I took away from EO was a lot of the problems that we have are not necessarily business related either. But I'm not going to ring you up, Trent, and say, look, I'm having some challenges at home. How do you deal with when your family's giving you too much grief about you working too much? But when you build that trust and that relationship, I could give you a call now and say, Trent, I'm struggling. My wife and kids are pounding me about how much I work, and the fact that I love it, they don't see that. And you might go, well, hang on, I had this similar experience and my wife was going to leave me. And this is what was, and that's certainly not, you haven't said that to me, so I just want to put that out there. But
that's just in case Sally's watching this, I didn't say that, just so we're clear. Yeah.
But it's the whole point of being able to have that relationship and depth. But also, the main part of it is learning from other people's previous mistakes, and not even mistakes, but things that they've done that they've gone, this worked, this didn't work, as opposed to just running out on your own. And just, making those mistakes yourself. You can fast track your growth by being parts of groups like this. And I think that's, one of the big key ones around that.
I'd like to just delve into something very quickly there. Something you said is very powerful, and I want to make sure it's been heard. One of the greatest things that my clients feel that they've received from me is that when a problem or challenge comes up, what I've noticed in the accounting and bookkeeping industry, the first word of the question that they ask themselves when they're trying to fix a problem is how. They go, oh, God, how am I going to do how? And one of the greatest gifts that I accidentally gave was, instead of starting that question with how, start it with who. Who could I speak to that could help me with this? Who, or what? Who or what? So, when you're in that collaboration circle, they go, okay, who are the, oh, that's right, he faced this a few months ago. When you get into the how, it brings you into that analytical, it brings you into that procrastination. So when you're part of a group and you feel part of the group, and, they're giving and you're receiving, acceleration is easy.
Yeah. And I think one of the biggest things is business owners and the accountants and bookkeepers that are part of these groups. The reality is we're all owners, and it's lonely. It's lonely at the top because you don't really have someone to be able to have those conversations with. Yes, you can have it with your team, but there's always that separation that you can't have certain conversations. And that peer-to-peer learning, I think, is one of the biggest things, is that whole, having that peer-to-peer group that you can bounce ideas off. So I know we've covered a fair bit today, and I know this is just a prelude to tomorrow. So we are running a webinar tomorrow. It's the second in the series. So what are we going to be covering off? So for anyone that hasn't registered, it is tomorrow morning. It's a little bit earlier than last week. It is 9:30 tomorrow. If you haven't registered, we'll put a link into the comment field so you can register there. Trent, what are we going to be covering off tomorrow? So last week we obviously covered off, why people need to be the business spine, why people need to be clear on where they want to go personally before you set a strategy for the business. Tomorrow we're going to be covering off the second phase. And what is that second phase that we're covering tomorrow?
So really it's just talking about, okay, there are two main different plans. There's a strategic plan, the business plan. What is the difference? Like, people talk about it all the time, but I'm just going to really simplify it. And then we'll just delve into, like the parts and components of a business plan that I've found work and versus don't work. So we'll keep it really practical, really simple. I'll show you some templates and we'll rock into it. And I think it's worth mentioning too, before we head off, that Andy Magnus is a great point. He says, here on this call that, you can be in business for 10 years, but it doesn't mean you're being 10 years experience. You could have had 10 lots of 1 year. So it's a really valid point. And I think when people get into these collaboration circles, Nick, they realise that really quickly. So Andy, thanks very much. That's a great point.
Andy's one of our wonderful North American clients, so good guy.
Oh, yeah. Good guy.
Wears a different colour tie every time, so Andy, big shout out. Every time he came to one of our client events last year, and every couple of hours he changed the tie. And at first I didn't notice. And yeah, phenomenal. So thanks, Andy, for the comment. Really love that. So for anyone listening, we are obviously talking about peer-to-peer learning. We're talking about the new peer-to-peer learning service that we offering now with Teach It Forward, the TOA Global Collaboration Circle. So there's the website's coming up, toaglobalcc.com. If you want to learn more, go and check that out. And otherwise, make sure you do register for the education series, which tomorrow webinar at 9:30. So Trent, as always, enjoy doing these with you. Thank you. Any final words any final tips or words that you want to give today?
No, I would just say, hey, come and try the collaboration circle with TOA, because we genuinely do want to build a community. We generally are there to help you grow your business in whatever way it looks like, and it's not about the size you are. It's more about who you are, and we want to bring you together and make this a fun experience.
As always, Trent, love chatting to you, and look forward to the webinar with you tomorrow. So thank you everyone for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to either Trent or myself, or jump into the comments, and we will certainly answer those as quick as we can. Have a wonderful, productive afternoon, and see you tomorrow, Trent.
See you, mate. Thank you.